Hey, God bless you. Listen, thank you for joining us today for the Truth Encounter broadcast. Listen, there's a powerful word from the Lord today. I believe it's going to tremendously bless your life. I can't wait to hear the testimonies of what God is doing for you. Listen, follow us on Facebook. Go and tell us there. Send us a message. Let us know how these messages and these teachings are empowering and impacting your life for the glory of God. All right? I look forward to hearing from you. Come on, let's go into the word today.
Second chapter of the book of Job, the Bible says this right here. I'm still dealing with this aspect of double. I'm starting at verse number 7. Verse 7 in the Amplified. Verse 7 in the Amplified says, after the Lord has spoken the previous words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz, the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends, and you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has. Now therefore take 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For I will accept his prayer, that I deal not with you after your folly, in that you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zohar the Naamathite went and did as the Lord commanded them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. And the Lord, here's where I want you to really look. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job and restored his fortunes when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. I want to stop right there. And he gave Job twice as much as he had before. I want to talk to you about this today, because I believe somebody is in this place in their life where they're trying to figure out and sort out what's going on in their life, and how is it I could be one place and then find myself in another place, not knowing what God has in store for you. I'm reminded of the story of the caterpillar. Hear me now. The caterpillar is one of those types of, I don't know if it's an insect or a bug or whatever you call it, but the caterpillar will go through what we call a metamorphosis, okay? The caterpillar will remain a caterpillar for a season of its life. And then there's a time where the caterpillar just kind of hits a place where he knows it's time for me to go through a change. It's time for me to experience something different. And the caterpillar climbs up into a tree. And while he's in that tree, he will begin to spin this thing that they call a cocoon. And while in the cocoon, the caterpillar will remain there, seemingly inactive, appearing that there's nothing going on, seeming like everything in its life has ceased. Everything has stopped. Everything is no longer existent. The caterpillar appears to have given up life, given up everything, just like as if it has been abandoned. It just went to a place, it threw in the towel, and it was done. It gave up on whatever it could have had in life. But in reality, what happens, it only a short time later, something begins to happen. The cocoon that the caterpillar crawled up into and began to spin will begin to tear. It will begin to open. And when that thing begins to open, the caterpillar that was in the cocoon is no longer there. But what emerges from the cocoon is a beautiful butterfly. Hear me now. Hear me now. What happened while he was in there? While he was in there, there was a change that took place. And in the change, he lost his shape. In the change, he lost his form. In the change, he lost the normal uses and the way he used to carry on in life. Before, he had the crawl, but when he came out of cocoon as a butterfly, he came out with wings, okay? And he came out with the ability to fly. butterfly. Before, there was nothing beautiful about him. There was nothing to be viewed. There was nothing to be awed about. But when he came out of the cocoon as a butterfly, not only could he fly, but he had bright and beautiful colors that were attached to his wings that even little children will sit back in awe and adore. Do you hear me? Now, here is what I'm saying to you, because I know I want it to make sense to you. Sometimes you go through a season of life where it appears nothing productive is happening in your life. But if you will remain persistent and consistent and committed to the process, when the process comes to an end, you will come out better than you were before. Now listen, y'all, don't think bad of me, but I'm about to tell you something I used to do that was real bad. All right, I used to go out and we had some trees in our backyard, and I would see the cocoons up in the tree. And I knew the process of a butterfly as a child. And while the butterfly was in the cocoon, Sister Monique, don't please pray for me, I would go out there and I would get a stick and I would knock the cocoon down. And I would say to myself, you will never be a butterfly. Your change and transformation is over. And that cocoon would fall and a butterfly would never emerge from it. Here's what I'm saying. I'm going to show you something in a minute. There are some people in your life, okay, and that the enemy places in your life that they don't understand where you are. They don't understand what's going on. See, I couldn't see inside the cocoon. I just knew I got to keep you from getting out, because something's amazing will emerge if you ever finish this process. And so what happens is the enemy will put people in your life that will do their best to knock your cocoon down because they don't understand your process. Here we go. Let me get to the scripture. If you go back to Job 1. Now, I don't have the time to walk you through all of Job, but let me take you through this process. If you go back to the first chapter in the book of Job, Job comes on the scene and God starts talking about him being a perfect and an upright man, okay? Job was a wealthy man. The Bible even says Job was the greatest man in the East. We used to say Job was the richest in his town. No, Job was the wealthiest in the East. Hear me now. In all the eastern region, Job was known for his wealth and for his prosperity. Job was that guy. He loved God, he lived right, and God had blessed and prospered his life. And then the Bible said one day, the sons of God, the angels of the Lord, brought themselves before the Lord. And when they came before the Lord, Satan showed up with them. And God looked at Satan and said, what are you doing here? What have you been doing? Give an account for your activities. Satan said, I've been walking to and fro in the earth. It's about all I can do. God said, okay, he understood what Satan was talking about. He said, I've been walking to and fro looking for somebody's life I can destroy. The Bible said he's like a roaring lion walking to and from the earth, seeing who he may devour. God looked at him and said, okay, Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Now this messed me up, because I'm like, God, why did you volunteer Job? Anybody felt like that? We're like, God, don't bring up my name when you trying to figure out. Here's what he did. Have you considered my servant Job? He said, Job, he said, yeah, I've been by Job's house a few times. I would love to take Job out. He said, but you blessed Job. You've prospered Job. And you have a hedge around Job. He said, but I tell you what, God, if you will remove the hedge, I will make Job curse you to your face, because Job only serves you because of the blessings you've given him. Hear me now. I don't know. Somebody in here today, you may be in here and you may be going through what you're going through because not because you did anything wrong, but because you did some stuff right. And God has blessed you because you've obeyed him, you trusted him, and you tried to be the best you can be for God. And in trying to be your best, it seems like trouble still found you. and you start looking around, what did I do wrong? What went on? What happened? Maybe you didn't do anything. Maybe God just volunteered you. Maybe God said, I'm about to show the devil who I really got serving me. Because the enemy made an accusation. He just serves you because you blessed him. And some of us in here, the enemy will try to tell God, God, the only reason they serve you is because of the job you gave them. The only reason, God, that they pray is because you gave them a nice home. The only reason, God, they give is because you've taken care of their family. And so God said, oh, you don't think they really love me. I tell you what, I'm going to show you who they really are. He says, I tell you what, I'll move the hedge. And when I move the hedge, you go in, you can touch all that Job has. Just don't touch his body. Don't touch his body. You cannot take his life. Satan goes in and you begin to read the story. One thing after another. I won't read it tonight, but a man comes into Job, says, Job, enemies came in, killed all of your livestock. Now livestock to them was wealth. So now Job, you broke. Came in and said, Job, somebody else came and they killed all your servants. Now those who you've hired, your employees, are no longer there. Then he comes back and he says, and Job, I got one more thing to tell you. Your children were at your oldest son's house and they were eating and drinking and enjoying family time. And a whirlwind came out of the desert, hit the four corners of the house, and it fell on all of them, and all your children are dead. See, here's what that text really means. How many of us have ever been in a place where it seemed like you were going through something and it was a one thing after another? Something happened on the job, that go crazy. Something happened with your kids at school, that go crazy. Something happened with your money, that go crazy. The car break down, the washing machine stop. One thing after another, and you like, God, what am I gonna do? What happened? Did you start looking around? Did I pay my tithes? Did I give my offering? Did I say the wrong thing? Who did I offend? God, what did I do? Caused me to be dealing with what I'm dealing with. Job said, he rent his clothes, began to mourn. He said, the Lord is given and the Lord taketh away. Now listen to me, Job, I'm going to show you this in a minute. Job was going through a depression. Okay, so don't say what Job said when you start going through. Job was depressed. All right. Job got to the point where he cursed the day he was born. He takes a whole chapter to curse the day that he came into the world. Okay. He was depressed. He was discouraged. He said this one thing. He said, naked I came into the world and naked I'll go out. So Job said, you know what? It's all right. It's just stuff. I still got God. Satan comes back before God again. Hear me now. See, when you make a stand for God, you say, God, I'm not giving up. I may lose some stuff, but I didn't lose you. I might go through some things, but I still have you. Satan goes back to God and said, God, he's a little bit stronger than I thought. He said, but I tell you what, he still got his health. Let me touch his body. He'll curse you to his face.
Hey, listen, friends, listen, I'm not done yet, but I just wanted to jump in real quickly and invite you to any one of our services at the Truth Church. We meet on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. where the power of God fills the house there and does an amazing work at the Truth Church. Listen, we're located at 2019 Ball Road, right here in the beautiful city of Memphis, Tennessee, and I would love to see you there. I promise you, your life will never be the same, all right? Or you can join us on Wednesday night for our Kingdom Training and Empowerment Night. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. God is doing an amazing work as we teach on the kingdom principles of God that will really transform your life. All right? Look, I look forward to seeing you at the Truth Church real soon. Come on, let's go back into today's message.
He said, Satan, now you came to me. You read the text. I believe it's in the 2nd chapter. He said, you came to me. I just want to show you all this. I got to show it to you. Go to the 2nd chapter of Job. So I want you to see this because this is going to shut up all the people that say all the time, you don't go through nothing that you didn't earn and deserve. If you going through it, you brought it on yourself. Look at chapter 2, verse 3. He said, and the Lord said to Satan. Have you considered my servant Job? This was after he'd already taken everything he had. That there is none like him on earth, a blameless and upright man, one who reverently fears God and abstains from and shuns all evil because it's wrong. And look at this. I hope this is your testimony when God talks about you. And still, I love that, he holds fast his integrity. Although, check this out, you moved me against him to destroy him without cause. I hope y'all see this. That some stuff you ain't going through because you messed up. You're not going through because you made a mistake. Now let me give balance to this. Some of you, you sowed in evil and you reaping what you sowed. But there are some of us that we doing our best to live for God, and trouble seems to find its way to us. Job gave us revelation on. Job said, man is born of a woman, is of a few days, and what? Full of trouble. Baby, trouble will find you even on your best day. Solomon told us that time and chance happen to us all. You can be the best of the best, you're still going to have challenges. He says this right here. Have you considered Job? You caused me, you convinced me, Satan, to move against Job to destroy him without cause. He said, yeah, I considered him, but I looked again and he still got his health. Let me do that. Okay, you can touch his body, but you cannot take his life. Hear me now. I want you to understand this, because this gives us an understanding of the authority of God. That although Satan has the ability to do certain things in our lives, he has to get permission from God. Hear me now. Anything that he's allowed to do in your life, God has already authorized it. Oh, Pastor, that ain't good. What's so good about that? Here's what's good about it. If God authorized it, then God already knows you can handle it. If God authorized it, he knows you already got what you need on the inside of you to come out of it with victory. Which means whatever you're going through today, it wasn't designed to destroy you. It was designed to make you better. God, I'm going to preach too fast. I hope somebody know that when you come out of where you are today, you're going to come out better than you were before. Some of you are just in the cocoon. The enemy trying to hide you. He hoping somebody knock your cocoon down. He's hoping that you don't make it through the process in the cocoon. He hoping that you just give up and realize I can't endure the storms. I can't endure the rain. I can't endure the sun. I can't endure the cold. I'm not gonna make it. That's what he's counting on. Because please hear me now. The enemy, with all God allowed him to do, couldn't take Job out. The only thing that could take Job out was if Job gave up himself. Can I prophesy to somebody to tell you today, you got to be encouraged, because nothing you're dealing with right now has the power to take you out. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. And whatever the enemy throw at you, you still gonna come out with the victory if you keep your faith. So he touches Job's body, makes him sick, afflicts him with sore boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. All right, we almost there. I'm showing you. Before I get to Job got twice as much, I got to deal with what he went through to get there. Because so many people want the twice as much, but they don't like the process of the twice as much. Job had sore boils. It hurt to stand up, and it hurt to lay down. It was painful to even roll over. God, I hope y'all get this. I'm preaching to myself today. You ever been in a place in life where it seemed like everything was a struggle? Everything just seemed like it was coming against you. Everything made you want to quit. Job got to the point with all these sore boils. Here's to the point that the sore boils on his skin would stink, so he smelled bad. His breath was foul because of the sickness. Job's friends came to see him. And when they walked in the room, they tore their clothes and began to mourn because they didn't even recognize him. He was disfigured. God, you ever been in a place where you was at a place in your life where you weren't even recognized by your friends? You used to be the life of the party, but now you're going through something and they just can't understand. You used to be the one that cheered everybody up, but now you need somebody to cheer you up. They didn't recognize this man named Job. His wife looked at him, and I used to get on his wife and be like other preachers and say, yep, Job told her, you talk like a foolish woman. Because she looked at Job and told Job, you should just go ahead, curse God, and die. But when I began to think about this as I was reading the text, I said, you know what? I ain't mad at her. I don't know her name. I don't think the text gives us her name. I ain't mad at Job's wife. You know why? Because if you've ever had to take care of somebody while they were sick and appeared to be on their dying bed, you would understand the stress that she was going through. Job couldn't take himself to the bathroom. Job couldn't feed himself. Job couldn't clothe himself. Job couldn't do anything for himself, and only his wife was there to take care of him. I talked to a lady years ago who her mother fell ill and she had to care for her mother. And when her mother finally passed, she had to do everything for her. She had to bathe her mother. She had to feed her mother. She had to do everything for her mother. When her mother passed, I talked to her and I said, how do you feel? I said, how does it feel now that you've lost your mother and all that you invested? I know it's hard. I said, but you invested a lot. I said, do you feel like you left anything behind? Is there anything you wish you would have done? She was like, no, I did everything I could. I said, my mother can rest in peace and I can live on in peace. And then she said this right here. She said, you want to know the truth? She said, when I saw my mother the last time in the hospital, and I remembered all the care I had to give her, she said, it was so hard on me to see her go through that. She said, when I walked out of that room, I went and prayed. I said, God, if it's your will, go ahead and take my mother. Hear me now. What child prays for their mother to die? Hear me now. This lady had cared for her mother and saw the agony of her mother to the point that she said, my mother would be better off with you, Lord. Because her mother was saved. She was a believer. And when you are a believer, you don't have to fear death. This woman said, I don't want to lose my mother, but God, my mother's suffering. I would rather you take her than have her suffer like this. I believe Job's wife said, I would rather God go ahead and take you than see you live like this, Job. But Job said, I ain't going to take my own life. As you all know, suicide is in the land. And she was saying, Job, go ahead and curse God. Because Job, if you curse God, you're going to open the door to Satan when now he can take your life. So it was a type of suicide. She said, go on, give up. Give up on living. Go and throw in the towel. Job said, this when Job said, you sound like one of those foolish women. That you don't understand the God that we serve. You don't understand who God is. And when Job said that through the rest of the book, you don't hear anything else from his wife. I believe she stepped back and she said, you know what? You're in the hands of God now, Job. Job laid there in his bed and then his friends came. I told you now, there's always somebody trying to knock down your cocoon. It could be somebody you love, the closest people to you. It could be a spouse. Oh yeah, I'll say it. I'm not your Facebook counselor. Your spouse is your best friend. Now, some of y'all got some evil spouses. And your spouse needs to be delivered. They do not speak for God. But they still your spouse. And you still got to love them. But don't let them make you miss God. His friends walked in, sat down on the floor, looked at Job weeping. They sat there, the Bible says, for 7 days and didn't say a word. I said, God, what kind of friends are these that would come and see this man like this, don't even recognize him, but sit down in silence? And I believe God said to me, he said, son, they didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, I got it. Some of you, your friends, can't help you because they looking at what you're going through and they don't know what to say. You wonder why they don't call you every other day. They don't know what to say. You wonder why they ain't asking you to hang out because they don't know what to say while you're going through what you're going. They don't know what to think of where you are. They want to say something, but what do you say when you see your friend withering away? What do you say when you see your friend and it looks like all hell is broken loose in their life? What do you say? Oh, it's going to be all right. Do it look like it's going to be all right? That can be taken as insensitive. Somebody will say, I'm going to give y'all this real quick and I'm going to keep rolling. Somebody will say when death happens, people tell people, oh, it's going to be all right. How you know it's going to be all right? You didn't just lose your loved one. How you know? I understand. How can you understand? You still got your mama and your daddy. You don't understand what I'm dealing with. I've seen people lose children. And people have said crazy stuff like, well, God will bless you with another one. That can't replace the one that's in the ground. So sometimes when you get a bit of wisdom, it'll be like, you know what? Before I say the wrong thing, let me just shut up. Job's friend said, before we say the wrong thing, we just gonna sit here with you and be quiet. And after all this time, Job then opened his mouth, cursed the day he was born. And that's when his friends decided to talk. You go through the text. I've got to run and get to where I am. But he goes through the text and he keeps talking to him. And his friends start saying all kind of crazy stuff. His friends were the type of people that knock down cocoons. Here's what his friends said.
Friends, listen, we're out of time today. But listen, I know you've been tremendously blessed by the word of the Lord on today. I believe something was said in this message that has really encouraged you and really impacted your life for the better. God has great things in store for you. Great things that he wants to do and perform in your life. And I believe this is your day. This is your time. And this is the hour that God is really going to prove himself to you. Listen, before we go, I want to invite you to come fellowship with us right here at the Truth Church. We're located at 2019 Ball Road, right here in the beautiful city of Memphis, Tennessee. Listen, come from near, come from far, wherever you are, we would love to have you worship with us. I believe your life will never be the same. We pray that if you walk through the doors one time, that your life will experience a transformation and a shift that you'll never be the same ever again in your life. So look, I want to see you at the Truth Church this Sunday. Meet us this Sunday, 10:30 a.m. and watch what God will do in your life. All right? Listen, I thank God for you. We'll be praying for you. I can't wait to see you again on the Truth Encounter. Be blessed.